it's MK and I am back with another Scraptember 2022 prompt, and today's prompt is paper tearing. I love paper tearing. So I pulled out this 6.5 by 6.5 paper pad by Kaisercraft from Bon Appetit. It is the little bit that I have left over. I have a few embellishments too, but I plan on using that up as well as these little die cut pieces. They're also from the Kaisercraft, and then I have a few hexagons that I die cut out from the 6.5 paper pad. I just threw in a bunch of stuff that made me feel like Italian, right? Like I'm cooking an Italian meal and I really wanted it to feel like herbs and spices and So anyways, I also have a recipe card from the Bon Appetit collection as well. And then I have a bunch of random little bits. I picked up these two pieces from a collection that was included in a Not Just for Boys kit club called Foodie. And then I have some branding strips from random collections, and then two black strips that were actually the other side of a recipe card from Kaisercraft. I have this in my kitchen, or in the kitchen, sticker sheet by Reminisce. And then last but not least, I have this beautiful wood grain paper that is Carta Bella, I want to say, by the sea. So it's got these anchors on one side, and then look at that logo. I love that logo. So I'm going to try to make that wood grain work, even though the wood grain on my sticker sheet is a little bit more blonde than this one. This one has a gray tone to it. So I'm going to see what I can do, but I really love how thick this Carta Bella wood grain is for my background. All right, so really quickly, I didn't cut all the way off and I couldn't get it to cut off, so I'm just scratching it up with my fingers so you can't see the white bits. That's what I was doing. I'm going to trim my photo down so that way I can have that red border around from the recipe card. But I realized that I don't think I want my square corners because the recipe card is round. So I'm going to go ahead and round my corners, but my rounder isn't the same as the rounder on the recipe card. So I'm going to have to round the recipe card as well to match my photo mat. Not a big deal, except that one corner kind of gets goofed up, so I have to fix it with my scissors. Again, not a big deal. And I'm going to move on. There is my mat. I love this. I don't know, red and green, and probably because of the flag, right? The Italian flag. But this is my first attempt. Actually, I would say this is my middle son's first attempt at making lasagna. So we followed a recipe. It was easy, meaty lasagna is what the recipe is called. And our first thing is, I remember my mom always had to pre-cook the noodles. I remember that. And so I pre-cooked the noodles without actually reading the recipe. Apparently, nowadays, they make noodles that you don't pre-cook. You just add it in, you put it in the oven, and they magically become noodly. I've never heard of this before. And so when we first made this, it was pretty on the outside. But then when you cut it open, it was a soup. It was a lasagna soup. But it was still good, you guys. Not gonna lie. And now that we know about the noodly oven trick, it comes out a lot more like the lasagna that it's supposed to come out. The kids enjoy making it because it is easy peasy. It is definitely a kid friendly. All you got to do is cook the meat. That's the hardest part, is cooking the meat. Everything else, the kids just really like making lasagna. So it's like, oh, cool. And weird enough, they all love lasagna. So yeah, I wanted to just document our first time making it. Like I said, it looks better in this picture than when it came out of the oven. That's why I don't have an after photo. Oh my gosh. So anyways, ripping and tearing my little 6x6 or 6.5 by 6.5 papers so I can create this background. I was trying to do the whole striped background type of deal again with the the red, the green, and the ish white kind of effect for that Italian feel. I couldn't get because I didn't want to cut my papers and whatnot. Actually, I didn't even consider cutting my papers in half behind the photo so that way they would go farther down. Didn't even think about it until like right now. I could have done that. But right now it's just a dry run of what it is that I've got to play with, and all the elements that might look good. I thought about bringing in the hexagons, but then I thought, not really sure because I don't have enough to really go around. I do have some of the hexagons in green as well. Didn't even think about pulling those out until right now. The layout's done. Too late to be thinking about that. And then I'm going to take all of my die cuts and actually trim around the photos because those borders are just too big. And then I forgot that I had one. I got so excited about picking my stickers out that I forgot I had one more to trim down. So I'm going to pick out my stickers really quick. Now these stickers are sticky, like uber sticky. I put that large one on my arm. Ouch. I think there's a couple of my hairs underneath it. It hurt to pull it off, and it's just sticking on my arm barely. They're sticky. I'm just saying, Reminisce has figured out the adhesive issue. So anyways, I went ahead and I used my distress tool to scuff up most of the edges, and then I pulled out Vintage Photo Distress ink. And I'm going to blend the entire background so I get that blonde look that I am looking for that matches my stickers and whatnot, so that it's a little bit more on the matchy side. And I can't tell you how much I really enjoy the way that turned out. I love it. I love the fact that I didn't do a very good blending job, and so it looks like a used cutting board. I love how it looks now. I'm very happy with my wood grain. All right, and then I decided that I needed to scuff up the edges because at first I only scuffed up the two ripped edges and didn't even realize that I probably should have done the tops and the bottoms. So it's going to get a little choppy here because I do glue as I go, but I didn't think you needed to watch me scuff up all the edges and glue and all that stuff. So I went from the second piece to the last piece. Before I glue the last two pieces on though, I do want to lay my photo down and my stickers and make sure that things are seen the way that I want them to be seen and whatnot. My husband comes in and I'm visiting with him. I talk with my hands. And so that's kind of weird. But then I'm not sure if I want to bring in some black and white. I really do like that black and white checkered, but I'm not really sure. I like the effect or the addition of the black because it's, no, this is sitting on my counter. So yeah, it shouldn't be black. I thought I was sitting on the stove, but this is before we put it in the stove. So it's actually sitting on the counter, and I took a picture of, because I was so proud of the fact that somebody wanted to do this because the lasagnas are time consuming. So I was very impressed that my children are starting to pick out recipes to create for dinner that are more time consuming. And so it just makes my heart happy that they are doing things like that. And this happens to be one of them. And I took a picture and sent it to my husband while he was at work and said, that it's just so fascinating seeing that the kids want to make stuff like this now. Granted, it's still a one pot wonder minus the meat dish, to cook the meat in, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of steps to create something like this. So, and you should see the stuff my daughter makes. My daughter's the youngest out of all of them. Well, my second daughter is the youngest out of all of them, and she picks out phenomenal recipes to do, and it's almost every dish in the house to make it. So I'm really impressed with her recipes that she picks. So anyways, but that's why I took a picture of this lasagna. This is our first time, and maybe I should take a picture of it after it's cooked now that we've kind of perfected it. But the first time it was interesting. We had to switch from plates to bowls. But the kids still loved it. All right, so I'm going to take these herbs and spices and cooking utensils and whatnot and just create little clusters and embellishments and bring them all in so that way they're herbs, and then you've got a knife sticking out and you've got a cheese knife sticking out and I'm sorry, I forgot what kind of spoon was. A wooden spoon. I just kind of wanted them peeking out and pulling out. Granted, we're not using a rolling pin to create this meal, but I thought it was pretty cool to be as part of a cluster. And, definitely measuring spoons and measuring cups. We definitely had to use those. So yeah, I just really liked the fact that I could add this this type of embellishment into a foodie layout. I love adding the utensils that it takes to cook a layout into a foodie layout. I really do. I enjoy making foodie layouts, you guys. So anyways, now it is missing a little bit of something, so I went into my enamel dot bin. I've been avoiding this bin. I'm not really sure why. I go through stages where everything has to have an enamel dot, and then I go through stages where nothing has an enamel dot, which usually means that I'm splattering. In all honesty, I do end up with some sort of splatters on a layout, whether it is an enamel dot, a sequins, or actual liquid splatters. So I do go through those stages, but this one here, I just felt like it needed a little sprinkling of pepper. Ha ha ha. Anyways, and so that's what made me think of the enamel dots, because I wanted pepper sprinkled on my layout. And so I found these sequins that were left over from a Stampin' Up! Paper pumpkin kit, and I thought that they looked perfect as my pepper sprinkles. So anywho, that is my layout for you guys today. I am so excited with the twists and turns that this layout came out with. Now, granted, you can't really see the black in the background that I added, but it's there. It's slight, but it still fills in those gaps that would have been there if I didn't use it, type of deal. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with adding some things and then all of a sudden they get a little bit covered up. Yeah, it is what it is. I used it, right? I used it. Anyways, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really, really, truly appreciate it. Be sure to check out everyone else that is adding their videos into the playlist. I randomly do, because sometimes I say it and then I just don't do it. I forget because it's the way that you have to add them in, and it just makes me forget. But eventually they'll end up in there. Also, too, don't forget about the Facebook group. The Facebook group is full of inspiration and ideas for those that aren't content creators, but they still add their layouts in there, and I am impressed with how many people are playing along every single time, every year that this comes around. It is just phenomenal. All right, you guys, thank you so much, and I will check y'all later. Bye.